Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Gran Turismo 7 update 1.52. It's time to kick off my car reviews of the brand new vehicles that came with the latest update to Gran Turismo 7. And of course we're going to start off with the poster child of this update, of course the Nissan GTR T-Spec from 2024. Finally updating those older models into some of the most recent models possible. So as always, let's jump in to the price point and the specs of the GTR. As you can see, the GTR Premium Edition T-Spec 2024 model has a PP rating of 594.66, a displacement of 3,799cc, four-wheel drive, which the car is very well known for, max power of 562 brake horsepower, weighing a fairly hefty 1,760 kilograms, and is of course turbocharged. The price of this car is even more expensive than the Nismo at 200,000 credits. I do want to take a moment just to take a look at both the Millennium Jade and Midnight Purple limited edition colours. I think they look absolutely striking on this car. They are incredible. In terms of the other customization options, you've got the typical array of wide bodies, front aero, side aero, rear aero, and of course spoilers as well. There are also some drag parts mixed in, which seems a little bit weird considering there's not really a proper drag mode in the game at present. So I do wonder, considering that Evo also features drag parts, if that's going to be something in a future update. It would seem that way, but with Polyphony's mindset, who really knows? So let's review the stock version of the 2024 Nissan GTR T-Spec. So this is of course a car that blends Nissan's iconic heritage with cutting edge performance. And trust me, this beast is just more than a car. It's an absolute experience, just the way it always has been when it comes to the R35. Of course, this model has been around for a fairly long time at this point, obviously arriving in 2007 and still in 2024 is absolutely relevant. Going through a bunch of different changes, we saw the facelift 10 years later in 2017, which of course we already have in game, and we also see the refinements here with another facelift for the 2024 T-Spec. So in terms of the design itself, it's very much a timeless R35 GTR look. However, there are a few changes and a few exclusive touches. It's strikingly wider, it's got beautiful looks to the darkened chrome accents, and of course the R35 tail lamps, which are pretty much iconic across the GTR badge, are still intact. However, we do see some additional aero, a much better and bolder look overall for the R35, and of course we can't really talk about the looks without mentioning these special edition colours and of course those exclusive wheels. For me, when it comes to the T-Spec, it very much keeps that Godzilla tag intact. However, it does add that just little extra elegance to the overall model of the GTR. Now, of course, under the bonnet, we've still got that absolutely monstrous 3.8 litre twin turbo V6, 562 brake horsepower, 467 pound-foot of torque. Of course, it's not the most powerful of the GTR variants, that still very much remains the Nismo. Make no mistake that the GTR is still very much a supercar killer. It still has the ridiculous top speed of 196 miles per hour, a 0 to 60 time of under 3 seconds, and of course the iconic R35 GTR sound is still very much intact. In my opinion, it's one of the most iconic modern car sounds in recent memory. For me, since 2007 and that aggressive launching growl that this thing lets off, and it's still there in 2024. Now, in terms of the GTR, of course, you can't really talk about it without talking about the performance of the thing. Four-wheel drive system, launch control, that's all still very much there and intact, just the way it's been since 2007. Of course, we now see added power, and of course it's still as ridiculously fast as it ever has been. Now, in terms of the T-Spec, you do get some also extra features from the standard edition. Of course, you get carbon ceramic brakes that are taken straight from the likes of the Nismo, a decent and much better feeling suspension. I do find that when it comes to the handling of the car, it just feels much more refined than we see with the likes of the 2017 model. And of course, when it comes to the overall feel of it, it is still an absolute grip monster. Of course, we've got the big tyres on it, we've got the four-wheel drive system, and it will launch through corners like no tomorrow. I would say the only real downside of the stock version is definitely the weight of the car. There is no mistaking that the T-Spec is a very, very hefty car overall. Of course, it does make up for that with the very, very ridiculous launch control and the four-wheel drive, but the main feature when it comes to the overall weight that you're going to notice is certainly going to be under braking. It's a very heavy car to get stopped, and that may turn some people away. It's definitely by no means a lightweight version with the likes that we see of the Nismo. So just bear that in mind, this is still very much a sort of standard GTR feel. Of course though, it is a ridiculously powerful car and it's absolutely at home around a track being thrown around. You can really push the car to the limits and throw it through a corner and it will just stick like a magnet. It almost feels like it just doesn't want to break away. Honestly, when it comes to the standard range of GTR models or the non-Nismo models, this definitely feels the most refined of any model that we've seen so far. So with its Nordschleife lap complete, let's head over to the lap time leaderboard. As you can see, the car comes 9th overall out of 12 vehicles, getting the best of the F430 and KTM Expo, but just slightly off the likes of the 430 Scuderia and some of the rally cars. That's not too bad for a car that seems to weigh a lot more than the rest of this grid. And again, I feel like that's where it's just mainly let down, is the overall heaviness of this vehicle. And that's where the next version of this car is really going to stand out. Of course, what appeals to most people in GT7 with the R35 GTR is just how customizable it is. And it's no different here with the T-Spec. This might just be one of the most fantastic versions of any GTR badge vehicle in Gran Turismo 7. We're talking racing tyres, bigger brakes, more aggressive aero, and upwards of 1,000 brake horsepower. This is where the T-Spec stands above anything else, and it's absolutely ridiculous when fully upgraded. So we're going to head over to Suzuka to begin our fully upgraded lap, and I'm going to tell you just about how good this car really is. Now, a lot of cars, when they get towards the sort of 800 to 1,000 brake horsepower barrier, when it comes to GT7, are horrific. There is no denying that. A lot of these more powerful cars just cannot handle that amount of power. However, the T-Spec absolutely does. This thing is a rocket ship. Of course, you've took away the excess weight and got all the weight reduction possible. You've got it on racing tyres, upwards of 1,000 brake horsepower coupled with a four-wheel drive system, and this thing is an absolute missile around any single track in the game. So the 2017 Premium Edition and of course the Nismo were some of my favourite, most customizable cars in game, and when it came to running them fully upgraded or to a high PP standard, they were absolutely mind-bending. However, I feel like the T-Spec may have just taken away the top spot from those with just how refined it feels with all this power going through it. Of course, you've got the four-wheel drive system, which accelerates it out of a corner and upwards of 200 miles per hour in literal seconds. It's insanely quick. You then also have how planted this car is. It sticks to the road like it's glued there. With all that excess weight removed, you can really brake late and get the car thrown into a corner, and you'll have full confidence that this thing will stick, grip and launch back out the other end like there is nothing else on this earth. It is so grippy and so powerful under acceleration that it feels like it's shaking the floor underneath you. This is an insanely refined car, and I feel like, honestly, as a last ditch hurrah for the R35, they couldn't have ended it on a better note. Honestly, even after almost 20 years since its launch, Godzilla reigns supreme and is still king of the monsters. Heading over to the upgraded lap time, as you can see, it's 4th overall, best in the likes of the Gallardo, 430 Scuderia, Expo, Rally Cars, F430 by a pretty decent margin. A time of 154.655 with a lower PP rating than a lot of cars around it. That is seriously impressive. So honestly, if this is the end of the R35, it's been an amazing run for that car. It broke records, it was mind blowing when it first launched and was beating the likes of Porsches and Ferraris, and I still feel like it's the exact same today, where the R35 absolutely commands respect. What Nissan have done with this car for almost 20 years is fantastic, and if this is the final goodbye, and again at the end of 2025 Nissan just pull the plug and get rid of the R35, do you know what? I would say that it's definitely done itself proud, and for me is absolutely still a supercar killer. So to some and the untrained eye, this might just be another R35 GTR, but honestly it's definitely the best looking, most refined version of the R35 yet. For me, like I said, Godzilla reigns supreme and is absolutely still king of the monsters. A big thank you to all of my channel members listed on screen now, and a big thank you to you guys watching at home. I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care guys, peace.